Hello everyone, this is the first of my videos working on the housekeeper's bedroom. You'll notice that the layout has been rearranged. I think I've discussed that before. You will also notice that there's a quilt on the bed and that I have not yet put up any footage about that quilt. That is something that I made. I need to look over my footage for that quilt and see if I've got enough to actually do a video with that. This video is primarily about this lamp, which was a kind of a cheap plastic gold thing that I had purchased and wasn't happy with, so I tried some different ways to remake it and finally came up with something that I'm happy with. So here we go on that project. Well, I'm really excited to be moving to the inside of my dollhouse and doing some of the decorating in all of these many rooms. I have papered and put in a window and a floor and trim and everything in what is going to be the housekeeper's room. So I think I'll keep going with that room for a little bit. What I have here is some photos that I printed from the internet. I just did a search for some images of servants' rooms from kind of the Victorian, Edwardian eras, just to see what sort of things they have. Okay, so we have in this photo, the photo is a bit dark, so I'm not sure how well you can see this, but we have a metal bed frame, and I did at some point buy this white metal bed frame, which I think will work very well, single bed. It needs bedding, which I would enjoy making. This bed appears to be just made with, looks like maybe a linen, could be a linen or cotton bed cover, nothing fancy. There's the maid's outfit on here. Over here we have a wash stand with a basin, looks like a chamber pot under there, a bunch of toiletries and a mirror. So I do want to put a mirror in the maid's room. I'm not going to put the wash stand in there because her room is right next to a bathroom, so she really doesn't need that. But I think it would be nice to have maybe a shelf with some special toiletries on there. Or maybe she'll keep those in the bathroom, and I do want to put a couple of shelves in the bathroom and a mirror. So maybe I'll have a shelf with some of her toiletries in there. This appears to be a storage trunk, which is an idea. I do like that idea. And it looks like she has a candle. And right here, I'm not sure what this is. It looks like a glass or a vase or something. And I think there's also some kind of a decorative box sitting on this trunk. The draperies look like they're made with just some cotton of some sort. There are some framed pictures on the wall, so those are all good ideas for the room. The room has a single light in the ceiling, which doesn't really shed a lot of light, so I tried out this floor lamp in there. I think I like the idea, but I think I'd like to find something that's maybe like a dark metal, or like an iron. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. My husband used to have this light that was like a black iron, I think, stand. So something like that. We have another metal bed, so I think that's, again, reinforcing that idea. This one has what appears to be a handmade quilt on there, and I love that idea. We have the mirror, we have the washstand again, which again I won't need to do. We have a chair and a little table that could be used as a writing table. I did pick up, not too long ago, this mission style desk, which I really like, so I think I'll put that in there and get a chair to go with it. And I think the chair would not necessarily match the desk, and most likely it would not, so I think I'll look for something like that. There's looks like possibly a jute rug. I don't know if that was a thing back then, but some kind of rug with then a runner next to it. So definitely some sort of floor covering. I think a nice braided rug or something like that would be good. Long panel drapes. This one has a sheer lining and then something over it, and the mirror, and it looks like maybe a soap stand or something. Another metal bedstead, so I think I'm in the right direction there. Another washstand. Our house is a little more updated for the servants' quarters. There's actually a bathroom. I like this lamp. I like this bureau. I think that would be a good idea to have some sort of bureau in there for her if I can figure out how to fit it in. The room is pretty tight. But if you look at this room here, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of walking space in there. So that's not unrealistic to have a tiny crammed room like that. Some candles and a mirror. This room looks a little slightly more luxurious, but I really do like it. Simple, looks like a simple woven bed cover, but I like that there's a chair here. And if you look at the chair, it looks like there's something sort of draped over it maybe, so it looks like possibly an old chair that was recovered. This one has the antimacassar on the back, which suggests to me that this probably, I didn't, remember to check the date on these pictures, but I'm thinking this is probably closer to the era that I'm dealing with, mid to late 20s, because of the antimacassar. I like that there's some knitting there. I have, this was gifted to me. It's a basket full of fabric and scissors. So something like this, I don't know, I think I'd rather, this looks more like a storage for fabrics. So I think I'd probably want to put that in a sewing area in the house somewhere, but something along these lines that has work in progress, like a knitting in progress or some mending or something. A little footstool. And I think something like that with some fabric that's kind of shabby and worn, because not the best things would be put in the servant's room. Can't really tell what's going on over here. There's some kind of a table. There's some toiletries, a washstand. We've got the mirror again. A little, sorry, I'm pointing to things that you can't see. The mirror, and this is a sampler of embroidery, so that would be a cool thing to put in the room. I also have this metal radiator, which I do sell these in my shop, and I like them. They're they have a nice heft to them. They're not made of plastic. I think it's probably resin is my suspicion. So I think that's going to go in the maid's room. All right, so let's go take a look at the maid's room. Okay, so you can see I have a single light up in the ceiling there, which, it's not a very bright light, so I really feel like this family would take a little bit better care of their housekeeper than that. She's kind of an additional part of their family, and when they're not having company, she's eating with them and things like that. She's part of the household that's welcomed. So you can see the bathroom is right next to her room, so she doesn't need a washstand in her room. So I don't think I have room in here to put a bureau and a trunk and a cozy chair and all those sorts of things. I really do like the idea of having the desk in there. The desk could possibly be in front of the window like that. If you want to block the window, could be, oh, it's kind of dusty. Could be sideways like that. So those are possibilities. This is not the lamp that I want to use, but I do think that it would be nice for her to have a lamp right next to the bed like that. My objection to that is that it blocks the desk. I'm going to put the radiator probably right there. The desk might be better off that way in front of the window so that you can just see that it's there a little bit. And then I want to put a couple of hooks on the wall with like a spare dress, and maybe a cape or cloak or something, coat. I guess we'd be into the coat era. Hanging, and maybe an extra pair of shoes on the floor under that. I know she doesn't have any space for a real closet, so I do think she would have a couple of things hung up. She would probably have more than that. She would probably have sort of a best dress situation. Now, I do have this section over here, which is the stairs are going to come up here. And I had planned to shove luggage back there. The stairs are actually going to come up this way, and that was just going to be storage back there. I'm wondering if I could make that sort of her closet instead of shoving, the suitcases could go back there, but I could also have some hooks back there where maybe she keeps like her best dress and her coat and her shoes and things like that, so we're not hanging things on the wall in her room. That's a possibility. They might have done that, just to give her some storage space. And then maybe I can fit a little rocking chair right here. I think my dresser needs to be smaller. This one's really too big, but if I had a small dresser here, I could put maybe a little rocking chair here with her knitting on the floor. Yeah, so it's definitely tight quarters. I could see her having maybe, sorry lady, don't mean to dump you on the floor, having some boxes stored under the bed, like a shoe box maybe, or a little locked, treasure box of things. I'd like her to have some family pictures maybe on the bureau, some things hanging on the wall. And because there's only one window in here and it's really small, I'm thinking that I would just go for some really simple, maybe little muslin curtains, nothing too, or even just a shade with a little valance above the top of it or something. In my house, I don't have dressings on most of my windows. I just have some pleated shades. I don't know, what do you call those shades? Because I like to see out the windows. I like the light and I like the views, and I don't like to block my windows with fabric very much. But in this era, they would have had something on all the windows, so I think we'll put some little muslin curtains or something there. So those are my ideas for that. So I think the first thing I will do is think about, I need to make her a pillow. Her bed didn't come with a pillow. So I think I will make her some bedding. See what I've got for fabrics to make her some bedding. I love the idea of having a homemade quilt on there, but that's a big project, so I'll have to think about that, and whether I have the time to take that on right now, or for now maybe I'll just put a woven cover on there and then do a quilt later that's maybe folded up on the end of the bed. So one of my favorite miniaturists is Julie Warren in Little Bits and Pieces by Julie, and if you haven't seen her YouTube channel or her Patreon thing, you definitely need to check her out. She makes all of her furniture, and she makes most of the other things in her dollhouse. If she doesn't make something, if she does buy something, she almost always adapts it in some way or personalizes it in some way, and I really am drawn to that idea. Now, I do like collecting the things that I find that I really love as well. And what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not I can get away with a mixture of purchased furniture and handmade furniture. So I would like to try making a small chest of drawers, dresser drawer, maybe from one of her tutorials to go into this room. And, things don't have to match in this room because this is sort of where the hand-me-downs get passed to the maid. So it wouldn't have to match the desk completely, but I think it should have that level of simplicity. Okay, so, all right, so let me get started on making some bedding for her. Before I get to the bed, I had a thought about this lamp, which I really honestly don't want to use anywhere else in the house either, because I don't like these gold things. I don't know, I just find this gold finish very, very cheap looking, very, I don't know, it's just too brassy or something. But a while ago, And I may have posted this in my Instagram or something way back when, but this bird feeder, or bird cage, this bird cage was originally rose gold. This was a gift. And my daughter gave me this for my dollhouse, and she always said that she didn't like the rose gold and wished that she had got it in a different color. And I didn't mind the rose gold, but it isn't really appropriate for the area of my house. So I took some gloss enamel craft paint and painted it silver. And it came out very well. Now, I don't know how well this paint would hold up if I was going to be handling this all the time, banging around. You know, if I actually had a bird living in a cage like this, I'm sure it would get chipped and crappy looking. But it's held up just fine for the bird cage. So I have a black gloss, and I'm going to try painting this to see what I think. And if I really hate it, I'll wash it off. Peanut butter covers, peanut butter jars and mayonnaise jars. They make great little pots for dispensing glue and paint and various things. Let's see. Whew, that paintbrush has seen better days. The bristles look fine. Let's see how this comes out. So the first coat is looking pretty streaky, but actually that looks kind of cool itself, but probably too modern. I'm going to go ahead with this. I don't think I have anything to lose really, because I wouldn't use this lamp as it is. And I'm guessing that a second coat will take very well. I probably should have sanded this down a little bit or something, but I didn't do that on the bird cage. Okay. Well, I mean, it's really streaky right now, but I already like it better than the gold, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let that dry and try putting on a second coat. If the second coat isn't working well, then I'll probably see if I can just like wash this off. I don't know if the lampshade comes off. Let me see. Clean my... Okay, so I've taken the light bulb out and taken this lampshade off, and I don't love this lampshade either. I'm gonna see if I can, I want to see if I can get that gold trim off. It's glued on there pretty well, so I think I will I wonder if I could make a lampshade. Alright, so what I've done here is I did manage to pry that gold braid off, and then you saw me taking my craft knife and basically doing a paring knife thing to get all that excess glue off. I used a detailed sander here to just kind of sand this. I actually have taken some of the plastic off with the glue, which I'm not worried about because I want to put some trim back on here, which will cover that. And I probably have actually now have a better surface to put the trim on. So I have two thoughts. One is to completely make a new shade from paper, and I would need this clear support circle under here, which I could probably cut out of some, you know, like a carton that tomatoes come in or something. So that's one idea, and then my other idea is to use this shade, which does have a texture print like pressed into it, And I think with some better trim, this would probably look okay. So I'm going to try working with this first. And if I don't like what I come up with, then I'll start from scratch. I think, yep, this is dry, so I'm going to try applying the second coat of black paint to it and see how it takes. Okay, I've been playing around with the lamp, the floor lamp for the housekeeper's room. I'm really not completely satisfied with the things that I've done. I had done the vellum lampshade with the ribbon around it. I liked that, but the ribbon just didn't really lie nice and flat like I needed it to look good, and I tried to say, oh, it's good enough, but it really wasn't. It wasn't good enough to suit me. I liked this lampshade better, made with the vellum that I printed a pattern on, and with the paint trim around the top. I did like that one. My problem was that there was just no way to get it to sit on the lamp post well. I tried all sorts of things with, you know, this plastic, I don't even know where it's gone now, but a plastic disc from the top of a soda cup, you know, the cover from a soda cup. I tried making a cylinder out of vellum that would just sit there, and that sat there okay, but then when I put the lampshade on, you know, okay, now it's going to behave. Now it's going to cooperate, huh? So maybe... Maybe. I don't know. So what this is I made a cylinder of vellum, and then I filled in the bottom. Now, I was not able to record at the time that I was working on this, but I did want to keep going. All I did was I cut a bigger circle, snipped the edges so that I could fold them up, and then I put glue on all the little snipped tabs and pushed that circle into here, and then kind of pinched it all around. Got a hole cut out in the middle, so the hole sits on the lamp post, and I could, you know, kind of glue that into place, or tacky wax that into place. Actually, what I probably want to do is just snip this hole slightly bigger. I didn't think this one was going to work, but I might have figured out a way to make it work. Alright, not happy with any of that stuff, so I'm going back to the plastic shade. This just sits the best on here. There's nothing I can do about that. This doesn't quite let the amount of light through that I wish that it did. It's just, I mean, it's only a 12-volt lamp anyway, but I can put more lights in the room. I do have a ceiling light in there, and I think there would probably make sense to have, like, if this is next to the housekeeper's chair where she maybe does some knitting or mending in the evening or something, I think it would make sense to have another lamp. Maybe next to the bed or on the desk, or, you know, something like that. So I can add more light to the room. Now, I printed another design on vellum. The scale of the design, I may have made it too big. I might have shrunk it. I might have needed to shrink it down a little more, but I don't know. I kind of like it anyway. So I'm going to try this. This template that I've been using actually came from me measuring this and, you know, rolling it out and making a shade template that fit this. So I'm going to cut this out, glue it onto my plastic lampshade, and then work out some trim for that. Now, I will go ahead with pencil very lightly, and I will just cut inside my pencil. That looks pretty. So I'm going to put, I don't want glue all over this. I'm afraid that will discolor the paper. I'm just going to put some glue around the very top of this. This turns out to be just a little bit bigger than the plastic shade. I'll have to trim off the top a little bit. That's okay. Not taking to the plastic very well, but I do know that this paper glues to itself very well, so that will give me a shape that will hold. These little scraps of lace, they actually, they're stretchy, and they came off of a bra that my daughter was throwing out because it had worn out. And I said, oh, that's like very fine, tiny little lace right there. I'm going to save those scraps. So I only managed to salvage a little bit of it, and the bra was pretty worn out. But it's stretchy, so I think it will go nicely around this shade. And it won't lose its shape too much. So let's see. That glue's gone kind of chunky. Let's get a fresh blob of glue there. And so I want to start my lace at the back seam. Oh, I think that looks pretty cute. What do you think? Okay, and then we'll put some lace around the bottom. I'm wondering if the black stand is a little bit too a little too dark for the shade. The shade is so delicate and florally, and then I've got this heavy black stand at the bottom. Keep changing the lighting there to see. I have this pewter rub and buff. I'm going to try putting just a little bit of that on the black. Just kind of tone it down a little bit. Right. Just need a scrap of paper or something. Okay. Ooh, this stuff is really strong. Shush. Okay, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it doesn't have a perfect finish, and I probably should do a second coat to get a perfect finish, but I'm going to leave it like this. I think it looks a little aged with some of the black paint showing through just a smidge. So I think I'm going to leave it imperfect and have it look a bit, you know, tarnished and scraped up and old. I'm just, I'm doing the buffing part of this right now. I'm just polishing it kind of with a, it says to use a cloth, but I didn't have anything handy. Okay. All right. A little weird with the gold right there, but you can't see that anyway once you put this on. Okay, I like that better. I will go plug this in and then I'll show you how it looks. There it is. I definitely like the pewter finish a little better. I'll turn out my big spotlight, or at least move it aside so you can kind of see that the lamp is lit up. Yeah. I don't have a really good connection right there, but I like that. Okay, another little project done for the housekeeper's room.